Hi. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about simple and compound interest. So let's get right into it. The amount paid to a depositor for keeping their money in a savings account is called the interest. And so the depositor would be you. You have put money into a savings account, and the amount of money that you get paid just for putting your money into that account, that's the interest. Number two, the blank determines how much is paid to the depositor each year. So the rate, and you might know that as interest rate. So the rate is going to determine how much money you get paid each year just for putting your money into that account. The amount of the original investment is called the principal. So the original investment would be the amount you begin putting into the account. Also, the principal could be, all of these terms could be referring to not just someone putting money into an account, but borrowing money from someone or from the bank. All right, number four, simple interest is paid on principal only, simple interest. Whereas compound interest is paid on the principal and the interest. That's why it's compound. So the formula for finding simple interest is going to be I equals PRT. And we'll talk about what each of those mean a little further down. The formula for the ending balance on an account with simple interest. Well, that would be you would add up the interest that you've earned plus the amount of the principal that you put in to begin with. The formula for the ending balance on an account with compound interest. So this one's a little bit more complicated, and we've actually seen this earlier. Whoops. So I'm going to write Y equals A times 1 plus R over N to the N times T. So the A is the original amount invested or borrowed. The R is your interest rate, and that's always expressed as a decimal. The N is the number of times that the interest is compounded in a year, and then the T would be the number of years. So in the simple interest formula, we got I equals PRT, or P times R times T. The P represents principal. The R is your interest rate, or just rate, and the T is time, okay? So let's do some examples. So it says use simple interest to find the ending balance in the examples below. So I'm just going to do a couple, all right? So for this, let me get rid of that. For this, for A, we've got $210 invested at 8% for 7 years. So I'm going to write I equals PRT to find the interest. So that's going to be 210 times 8%, so that's 0.08 times 7. And remember, we're talking about money here. So in my calculator, I'm going to type 210 times 0.08 times 7, and I get 117.6, but we're talking about money, so 0.60. That's the interest. But if I want to know the ending balance, I'm going to have to add the interest plus the principal. So the ending balance is going to be 117.60 plus my principal of 210. So that's $327.60. Okay, so I want you to finish number 9 right now, which are all simple interest problems. So pause the video and finish number 9. So here's my work for the rest of number 9. So you might want to pause the video and make any necessary corrections. Great. Now let's do number 10, which is asking us to find the compound interest, okay, for these different scenarios. So let's look at part A. All right, so we have $1,250 invested at 8%. It is compounded annually for 2 years. So I'm going to write down my formula. So that's Y equals A times 1 plus r over n to the nt power. So A is the initial investment amount, which is $1,250. 1 plus my interest rate is 8%, so that's 0.08. N, the number of times it is compounded in a year. If it's compounded annually, that just means one time. So over 1. And N is still 1. And then T, the total number of years, which in this case is 2. So now I'm going to type that into my calculator. So I get a dollar amount, and again, if you get, and the final answer here is $1,458. If you end up with a decimal number, remember you're going to want to round to the nearest cent for these because we are talking about money. All right, so I want you to go ahead and finish number 10. So pause the video and complete those problems. Okay, hopefully you did well with these. So pause the video and make any of the necessary corrections. Great. Let's look at number 11. So it says, how much interest, just the interest, not the total amount, how much interest is earned on a principal of $646 invested at a simple interest rate of 5% for 10 years. So all we're asked to find here is the amount of interest. So that's that I equals, let me make a capital P there. So our principal was 646, our rate is 5%, and then for a total of 10 years. And so I'm going to type that into my calculator, 646 times. So that's $323. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and try number 12 now. Try 12 and 13. Let's pause the video, and I want you to try 12 and 13. Remember, 12 is asking us how much interest is earned using the compound interest rate. So see if you can figure that one out. All right, so pause the video, do 12 and 13 now. Okay, guys, so you did problems 12 and 13. Number 12 might have been a little tricky at first because the compound interest formula we have gives us the ending balance. But if I know my ending balance, then I can subtract from it the original amount invested to give me the total amount of interest earned on that account. So there's number 12. And then for number 13, you were asked to explain the differences basically in a simple interest account and a compound interest account. So just remember that in the simple interest account, the amount of interest that is earned each year is going to stay the same, and that's because it's going to be based on the principal, which is the initial amount put into that account. So it's going to be $5 every year or $6 or however much it was. But for a compound interest account, the first year it might be $5, but when it gets compounded the next year, or if it's compounded annually, then we're going to look at the original deposit plus the $5 interest, and then then figure out the amount of interest earned on that. So you're constantly increasing the amount of interest that you get each year because the value of the principal, if you will, is looked at again every time it's compounded. Okay, if you have questions about any of these problems, remember to see your teacher for assistance. Go ahead and submit this assignment, and then you'll be ready to do your independent practice. Good luck.